this is my machine, this
Mm.
is my name is Waqas, this is my machine. Abdullah is someone else's machine. So
Yes.
if I have done if I exploited that machine and done remote code execution, it is quite possible that he will never identify that what has happened. But it depends upon how the system is being configured. Like he has the antivirus, and maybe his system is behind a firewall, maybe his system is behind multiple firewalls. If there are protection, the chances of detection are higher, and if there is no protection, chances of like detection are minimal. So it depends upon the protection level. And honestly, even with the best of the best protection, we have seen there are people are compromising their systems, and they even don't know. From years and years the system are being compromised, they are become a part of a botnet, they are leaking data. And so you have learned about APTs. People are targeting, they are making specialized uh, malwares for specialized organizations. So they craft that considering all the protection level. So it depends upon the protection level, and it is very possible. It is absolutely possible that with all the protection level, like Abdullah or anyone else didn't even knew from years and years that system is being compromised. It is absolutely a real, we have seen lot of organizations in Pakistan being compromised from years, and they don't know. People, a user of like a database is a database administrator in a he is using his systems on daily basis and 8 hours and doing using years and years. He didn't knew that his system was compromised, and database was being leaked and leaked and leaked. And no, in network infrastructure control they placed were able to detect. Definitely there could be misconfiguration and vulnerabilities in the design, but it is quite possible even with the best of the systems. If someone is dedicated, he can make that script that can exit bypass, and it could remain there for years. This level of access and this level of receptions require a lot of effort and lot of dollars and a big team. So this makes us safe because we are not that much high value targets. So this makes us safe, but the high value targets are at a higher risks. So going now presenting uh, VAPT methodology, there are terms that are being used. That is SAST, static application security testing, dynamic application security testing, DAST. So DAST is mobile application, DAST or backend server. So if anyone can give me an idea what is SAST and DAST, just quickly, because this is a very common term that is being used in VAPT. Let me answer. SAST basically, SaaS is static application security testing. Now consider yourself or myself as a developer. I am developing an Android application. I have opened an Android Studio in my laptop. I am developing code, and then compiled, and I have created an APK file. Now, what happened that I don't have published this APK file to a place to a Play Store, or I don't have. I'm like the application, and no one has installed this application, and no application is not running in the phone of people. Now, if I give this application, no, or you, or if you give this application to me for pen testing, so I will I can do different security tests on that APK file without running that application. So that is SAST. SAST means sleeping. SAST means static. SAST means application is not running. That is very simple concept. And just if you can consider a web application, I have explained this stack. This application is running on an absolutely uh, proper server, and a running server, a live machine, a hard pumping. Just giving you an example. So this is a running. Now, what happened that okay, if you are an administrator of that machine, you pick up the code and just email me that code, and I copy that code into my machine that is in front of me. Now, if I do a testing of that code, that is static. The application is not running. So this is the term SaaS that is very commonly used. And if you are a pen tester, you can do SaaS of mobile application as well, SaaS of web applications as well, and you can do a dash of uh, mobile application and web application. So now SaaS, this is SaaS. How it is being done? At, if we consider there are automated tools as well, manual testing techniques as well. So if you want to do a static application security testing of your mobile application, you will be using different tools. Be you will be knowing different manual techniques, and you will be knowing how Android applications are being developed. You will be knowing the components of the Android application, what are the activities, what are the services, what are these are the few components of the Android application. And you should be knowing what are web views. So you should have the knowledge of the Android application. You should have the knowledge of the Android operating system. You should have the knowledge of the tools. You should know the manual techniques as well. So you can do SaaS on that mobile application. At the end of the day, you can get a report if you're a pen tester, and you can share it with the customer. So this is how SaaS is being done in a broader way. Definitely, if if you want to learn something technical, I can show you the tools, and I can show you the manual techniques, and we can go little deeper. But just for the sake of this presentation, this is the introduction of SAST. Now, DAST means application is running. Now, if consider now think about web application. You know, every people in this world is using web application, accessing web application from their browsers. They just type the URL and just play with the application. If it is a gaming application, they are playing games, different type of application, different type of websites. People are using them, and at the back end, the request is going to the backend server, and the request is coming back. Your browser understands the request and prints an image in front of you. This is how this technology is ongoing. Now, dash means that okay, now you will capture the request, and you will manipulate the request, and you can do whatever you want. That is the dash and of basically web application. Now now going to the mobile application. Mobile application has two components. Mobile application itself, and at the back end behind. So the dash of mobile application means that being a pen tester, we test mobile application, and we play with the mobile application in a running state, and then we try to access different. Just I mentioned an example that the mobile application active, the pages you see, the interface you see are called activities. As I previously explained, it is possible to call an activity that is after the login page without login if the activity is insecurely configured. So that if I am doing this, it means I am doing dash because my application is running, and I am playing with that application. Just so that is under the dash of mobile application. And mobile application is also communicating with the backend server. You remember the diagram. So if it is communicating with the backend server, so if you want to intercept the traffic and play with the traffic and do different security tests, that is the test of the backend server. That these concepts are very important to understand from the pen tester perspective. Why? To cover all security from all dimensions, and from the perspective of a customer, these are what also very important, because he should be clear what he wants from a pen tester. And I see people in the industry, they only do the SaaS, and if the customer doesn't do anything, they are sending them SaaS report and charging them for all these in-depth services. So this awareness is necessary for from the customer perspective as well, from uh, the people who want to learn pen testing from their perspective as well. So just remember, SAS and dash. SAS means sleep, SAS means dead, SAS means not running. Application is not running, and you have a piece of code in your laptop. That's all. And dash mean application is running, environment is ready. And if it is a mobile application, definitely it will be running on a mobile phone. If it is a web application, definitely it will be running in a Windows or Linux machine. Similarly, environment could be different, but this is just assessed is is application is dead, not running. Dash means effectively running, and you doing the testing. And there is one more concept of false positive. You have heard, maybe you have heard this, because whenever you use automated testing, automated tools, they generate a report, and there are a lot of false positive in that report. Like false positive mean they identify something as a vulnerability, but this is not a vulnerability. In manual testing, you validate the vulnerability, and okay, you will remove that vulnerability from the reports you will deliver to the customer, because it is a false positive. So this is a very common term used in VAPT. After this exercise, uh, doing automate you using automated tools, we see a lot of vulnerabilities, then we validate, and then uh, plug out the vulnerabilities that are not being validated. So we will present the customer the vulnerabilities that are valid. So this is a false positive, and how we remove it. All the tools in the world, automated tools are generating false positives. So that is, you need a pen tester with a brain of pen testing, the knowledge of pen testing, who can manually test and validate. So this is how. And again, the last point, tools for automated testing are different, manual testing are different. Open source community is contributing in this area. They are making automated tools, they are making manual tool as well, and then the commercial big organizations are also there. So but I just want to mention one thing: the tools for SaaS and DaaS are different. SaaS are being done with different tools and techniques, and DaaS are being done with different tools and technique. Just give an example: Bubsuit is used uh, for this area, the last one, desktop backend server, we use it Bubsuit tool. And for SaaS, we don't use Bubsuit tool, because Bubsuit is play with the active request. Maybe there's a tool that is ImmuniWeb. Maybe we use a browser. There's a lot of tools. So we for SaaS, actually, mainly we use ImmuniWeb. We can open that code in Notepad plus plus or any other JDGUI tool. We can see the code and all that stuff. So tools for both of these services are different. So this is also just in this slide there were no names of tools. Now in this slide there are just few names of the tools. And you see MobSF is used for static analysis. Provide an APK and IPA file. It will do static analysis and identify the vulnerabilities. And now it's up to the pen tester to rectify the false positive and present a report. And FIDA is used for dynamic analysis, BURST is used for dynamic testing. This is Gira is a very important tool, and this is used for uh, reverse engineering and binary analysis and all that stuff. So this is also static analysis tool. So different tools, definitely. Again, if we dive into this, it's a big subject. A lot of tools, a lot of techniques, a lot of knowledge, a lot of concepts to learn. But in a broader perspective, this is the picture. Now, if anything is, you want to ask in VAPT of mobile applications, you can ask.
Y- Yes. Okay. And SaaS and DaaS.
Okay,
Okay. So you said the first one is none when the system not running, right?
right.
You mean by not running, it's in test environment, for example, or you can
Not
explain?
okay. Not running means okay. I will explain a complete life cycle. For example, I am a developer. I am customer asked me to develop an application. So I developed an application. The application is being developed. Okay. Now it is just a desktop application, a calculator.exe file. I developed that file. Now what happened that I shared this file with you, and you install that application into your machine. Now the application is running in your machine, and from in the process in the task manager you can see the process of that calculator.exe. So now at this stage application is running on your phone. Now if I exploit this desktop application, if try to find the vulnerabilities in the running application, this is application is running, but change the scenario. If I develop that application and I have shared the code with you, you are not like double click the exe file, you are not executing this file calculator.exe, you are just reviewing the code. So just giving that example of a desktop application. Similarly, changing the example to a web application. I am a developer. I have created a web application, and one option is that I share the source code with you, all the source code file, and you are reviewing the source code files and seeing the bugs. Other option is that I on your machine, on your Windows machine, I installed IIS, and on that IIS I deployed this website. Now I can access the website from the browser. It is active and is working. Now if I do a pen test, that is application is running. So you know if I am developing anything, any software, either it is a web application, mobile application, desktop application, if I share you a piece of code and there is no environment on your machine, you just reviewing the code, going through the code files, that is basically static application security testing. But if you deploy that application, So if I'm doing now, I'm doing a pen test. It is test, and deployment for different application is different. Exe files, there's a different concept. Web application are deployed in a different way. For exe, if I give you an exe, you can just double click it, next, 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 and install, and you can double click it, it will text application will run. This is a different environment. If I give you a web application, so you will install an IIS on your Windows machine, then you will copy that files in the root directory and few other settings with IIS. Then I could other people in your team or lab could access that application. So deployment techniques could be, if you have made a mobile application .apk file, it should be published on a play store, and from the play store people download the application and install the application in their mobile phone. So environment and deployment process is different for different type of application. But just think that I have given you a code, or for example, if I have a website, there are two. I can give you a source code, or I can give you a URL of that website. So if URL means application is running, you can access and pen test. And if there is no URL, just I have shared the source code with you, so you can go through these files and you can see the code, if else classes, functions. You can see, okay, what are the security parameters, what is the length of user password, what is the blah 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 blah, the complete checklist you can see. But the application is not running. So just if for a web application, just I can give you a URL as well, and I can give you the source code as well. One is dashed and one is hashed.
Okay, clear. Thank you. Thank you for the explanation.
No problem, you're welcome. Okay. Now VAPT of networks. Just want to clarify your concept of networks. Um, people, that if I go to the slide number one, if you remember that I told you that everything starts with an online business. If a business shifts to an online model, so from the user perspective, in Pakistan we use a Cream service for getting the taxes. Thi- So now what happens? For me, it is a mobile application as as a user, and for me, it is a website for a user. But at the back end, we have a complete IT infrastructure, and we have a complete network behind. It could be containing data center. There could be server racks. There could be lot of servers. There could be cameras. There could be lot of things. So the backend. This is the back end of the online business. For the customer, a business is just a website or a mobile application. For uh, a company owner, there is a big data center with lot of servers, with lot of applications, the cameras all over. Their software is running in the data center. There could be routers, there could be firewalls, there could be layer 2 switches, there could be layer 3 switches. This is a complete. There could be an on-prem cloud. Maybe some services are running on third-party clouds. So this is basically a complete network that is the backbone of an online business that is running the complete environment. So VAPT of networks is basically uh, we finding vulnerabilities in firewalls, in routers, in access point, layer 2 devices, layer 3 devices, blah 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 blah. So this is even security cameras. Uh, you hacking security cameras can give you a very interesting view of their organization. So this is I already explained router fiber access point etc. People come what they told client tell us, okay, we have two routers, two firewall, 100 access points. They give us an IP scheme, usually a private IP scheme, because the network is inside the organization. Only the part that is front of the user is maybe an application, mobile application, or a website. That is how the business runs. So they give us an private IP scheme. They give us access over VPN. Then they either we go physically to their premises of the client. Either we can access over VPN, and either we can access over a jump server. So jump server is a server that we can access that server, and from that server we can access their devices and all that stuff. And we install all the tools on that jump server, and this from that server we do a pen test of their network devices. So Even web applications, people customer come and they want to test a web application. So people test only the web application part. The hosting part, the operating system part is not being covered. So if you want to do that part, you want to engage the pen test people, and you want to give the access of that server so that they can access and see the security at that, what are the security configuration in Windows or Linux, uh, which is running a website. So normally in a black box testing, if you are coming from the internet, you can only see the web application part. So this is how, uh, basically, how we can, this customer come and how we can access test their systems. This is how that thing. And VAPT for networks, again, outcome of VAPT is misconfiguration, outcome of VAPT is vulnerabilities. You This is very important thing. I have outdated or we this is our experience. We go in different organization, we see they have an lot of routers with an outdated operating system, outdated and unpatched operating system in different IT assets is very very common, and this is very easy to exploit. And this, if you are a business owner, you should be you should think every component operating system, either it is operating system is updated or not, or it is patched or not. Similarly, we see a lot of, this is my experience, we see a lot of misconfigured firewalls, we see a lot of misconfigured operating systems. Firewall is deployed at the, it is just at the facing the attack, but it is not configured, the policies are not right. And so there are a lot of problems with the firewall, that we see. This is sometimes, on the WAN interface they have enabled, some people have enabled the web interface of the firewall. Now if you can get the credentials, anyone in the world could open that firewall and change any policies, disable any policies. This is we see usually. So again, this is the concept of tools. The area is short. Why? Because we have major, I have explained multiple concepts in VAPT on web application and mobile application that are common. So it could, for VAP networks we are using tools, we could use manual techniques as well. And VAPT of networks is vast thing, because um, uh, you should understand, you should have an understanding of lot of network protocols, because if it is a router, there could be lot of services running on the router. It could be, in order to access the router, there could be telnet or SSH service, there could be an HTTPS service just to access the router. And like there could be a network protocol, routing protocol running. This will have a different ports, and maybe there are other services that are running on that. Maybe an FTP server is running on that router or firewall. So in order to do a VAPT of network, you should have a knowledge of lot of protocols, how FTP works, how SMTP works. Some in routers there is a protocol called SMTP. Why it is being there? Because sometimes router have to send an email, and for email they are using SMTP protocol. SMTP protocol is used to send an email. Now if you want to do a VAPT of network, if you see a SMTP service in a router, then you should be knowing about what is SMTP, how does it operate, and how to play with SMTP from a pen tester perspective. So in networks, this is a very small word, network, but under network there are hundreds or thousands of protocols being developed for different purposes for different devices. So if you will learn this area, you will learn uh, of about network protocols. And if you can see, if maybe you people know that this is a TCP/IP stack, and at the top of the stack they say that is an application layer. There are a lot of protocols in an application layer, then there's a transport layer, then network layer. So this is a TCP/IP stack that is very famous in network, in the world of network. So at every layer there are protocols. So if you are playing with the doing VBT of networks, you should have a good understanding of these network protocols, because whenever a device you will select testing, you will see protocols. Again, tools are, there are a lot of tools for this. Common tools are Nessus. This is very common tool. College, open VAS is free open source. Metasploit is used for exploitation, but Nessus and College are, I see these tools being used by organizations in abundance. They identify the vulnerabilities, and so these are automated tools. Just to give you an idea, and you just remember the tools on mobile pen test. These are different than these tools. So every pen test have different tools, and there are a lot of tools and a lot of techniques. And now this is a VAPT workstation. Generally, Windows operating system, Linux operating system, Mac operating system. Sometimes people I see in industry, sometimes customer come, they want a network pen test. They include workstation under network pen test. Sometimes customer comes and they say, okay, this is network pen test, router, firewall, blah blah
in
blah.
this scope.
And workstations or workstation or servers are in another category. So this is, two different school of thoughts, or lack of standardization, as I already explained. So that is why a same thing is being called with different names, with different ways. Sometimes people take this workstation in network. Sometimes people uh, s- make this a separate. This scope it separately. So depend upon the customer and understanding between them. But you see, people come, they see we have 100 servers, 500 Linux, 100 Windows servers, 50 Linux servers, and they can also provide, we can want to test 10 workstations, they will provide IP scheme, private IP scheme. Then again, access model is over VPN or jump server, or we can go to the premises as well physically. So methodology, again, in this, this is a very general methodology of VAPT. This is port scanning. We will, for a network, we'll do port scanning, identify the ports on router, firewalls, on sorry, but on Windows, Linux, even in network pen test. This methodology is almost a generic methodology that is applicable to all types of VAPT. But port scanning, then information gathering, then assessment, then vulnerability exploitation, then privilege escalation. In Windows, if we could privilege escalate, the highest level is system level access. If Linux, if we could privilege escalate, the highest level is root level access. So this is the process. The process starts with port scanning, and a famous tool for port scanning is Nmap. So usually in networks or in these workstations, because I told some people categorize them in one category, uh, some place a wall between them and make them two categories. But more or less, for we go with port scanning. We identify the ports. Maybe we identify telnet port, SMTP port, SSH port. Then we will do information gathering on this protocol. Then we will do vulnerability assessment and exploitation, and finally at the end, privilege escalation. So this is the methodology. And again and again, this is not a single tool. Lot of manual techniques, lot of automated tools, different tools for different phases. So for you see, the tools are little familiar with this network part, because I already explained. Sometimes people categorize both of them in one category. So just it's a two different school of thoughts, but you can categorize them in a single category, but and or you can segregate them a network, one component, workstation, server, another component. So it's just a matter of segregating your IT components with different name. But usually workstation and usually network devices are pen tested in a very similar way. So this is, and this is like sample report. I can share you a report, a sample VAPT report, just for your reference on their websites. So we make sample reports like this. Just want to. Uh, this is a sample pen test report, and just let us see that report. So what is this is a web pen test report. What you will get an this is the scope of that report. You will get an executive summary. You can get these vulnerabilities. So this is how VAPT reports look like. And at the end of the day, this is we provide them the observation, implications, recommendations, and affected path and all that stuff. So these reports look different for mobile application, web application, networks. Everyone has different type of vulnerability, different type of recommendation and remediation. So this is how the VAPT report looks like. This is now uh, this is all from my side. And hopefully the session was useful for you. And um, thank you from my side.